Look into the atom, you get what you need. Look into magic, and you get what you need. Philosophy and art are in both.
Wow.
That's Bob Camblin for you. I
Whoa.
mean, this quote it hits right at the heart of what we're diving into today, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, it really does. It sets the stage perfectly.
We've got this whole collection of material on Camblin. It's really something.
Yeah, you weren't kidding. Intriguing quotes, snippets from these books, like really getting into his art and his philosophy. Even a YouTube video, with folks analyzing one of his sketches.
Oh, yeah, and some good biographical stuff, too. So
Yeah.
for our listeners, especially those who maybe haven't encountered Camblin before, think of this as your express lane into understanding this, well, honestly, kind of unique artist.
Yeah, I like that, the express lane. Get to the good stuff quickly.
Right. No need to wade through, like, tons of academic jargon and, all that.
Well, and honestly, sometimes with these deep dives, that's half the battle, cutting through the noise to really get to the core ideas.
Exactly. So our mission today, I mean, if we can call it a mission.
Sure, I think mission works.
Okay, so our mission is to unpack those core ideas. The essence of Camblin's artistic and philosophical, well, explorations.
Exactly. Find those themes that keep popping up and try to understand, how he saw the world through that lens, through his very specific lens.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His life experiences and wow, his reading, so diverse. I mean, it all comes together. It forms this kind of personal, artistic language, if you will.
Totally. Okay, so first things first, where do we even begin?
Well, with Camblin, I think you almost have to start at the beginning. Bob Camblin, born in Oklahoma, 1928.
Oklahoma, huh?
Oh,
You don't always think, like, cutting-edge art in Oklahoma.
right. But here's the thing. His upbringing in Ponca City, it actually seems like it really mattered. It shaped his artistic sensibilities.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about it. The oil boom,
Okay.
the Marland estate, that grandeur, that almost like over-the-top kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. And there's that huge pioneer woman statue, too, like a
Huge.
real sense of, I don't know, monumentality.
Exactly. And even something like, The Wizard of Oz,
Mhm.
big in those days. And that film with its
Like the color.
yeah, but also I don't know, the wonder, the sophistication it projected. It feels like all of that, it stuck with him somehow. This like early exposure to both the real world, the gritty stuff, and this whole other realm of imagination, like a kind of duality that never really left him.
I like that, yeah, a duality. But it wasn't just what he saw around him, right? We're talking about a guy who was a serious reader. I mean, Emerson, the I Ching.
Oh, yeah, and haiku. He got really into haiku and haiga.
I go, what's that exactly?
So it's this Japanese art form, super elegant. It combines simple imagery with haiku poetry, those short three-line poems.
Okay, I'm with you.
And the connection to haiga feels important because, like haiga, Camblin's work, it often gets its power from simplicity, from these really focused observations.
So it's like finding depth in the understated.
Exactly. And that's a real hallmark of his work, that ability to say a lot with just a few well-chosen elements.
Really intriguing. So then there's the Fulbright Scholarship, off to Italy.
Huge deal. Imagine, being surrounded by all that incredible art, the Uffizi Gallery, the masterpieces. It must have been transformative for him.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And it wasn't just the Renaissance and the Impressionists. It was also the Capuchin catacombs in Palermo.
Catacombs. That's kind of a dark turn.
Well, these are burial chambers with, get this, preserved figures.
Mhm.
And for Camblin, he called them abstract figurative forms. They clearly resonated with him, like deeply, and you see these forms pop up in his work later on. He even referred to these images as mummies, sort of playfully.
Mummies, that's wild. So he's got all this bouncing around in his head. He comes back from Italy, and then he starts teaching, right?
Exactly, sharing his knowledge, his insights. Ringling School of Art, University of Illinois, then finally Rice University in Houston.
Okay, so he's in academia. But even while he's teaching, he's clearly making his own art, right? This is where those core themes you mentioned start to emerge.
You got it. This is where things get really interesting. So first off, there's this constant back and forth, this interplay between art and philosophy in Camblin's work. There's a review that really nails it. It describes his art as questions disguised as images, and the book that goes with it. It calls it a conversation between the two.
Okay, I like that. Questions disguised as images. That's perfect for Camblin.
Yeah.
And it really makes sense, right? His work isn't just about, like, pretty pictures. It's an exploration.
Exactly, an intellectual and spiritual exploration. And one of the biggest threads running through his work is Zen Buddhism. It's all over the place, especially in that book, Zen and the Art of Enlightenment. And then there's that YouTube video about his sketch, ABC.
Right, ABC. The video talks about how it's got this peaceful, meditative quality.
Right, a sense of letting go, of being present. And then there's Mu, a key Zen concept. Emptiness, or non-duality. Think about seeing both sides of a coin at once. It's about how those lines, they create this harmony between what's there and what isn't.
Okay, I'm trying to picture that. Both sides of the coin at the same time. It's like a visual representation of balance, right?
Exactly. And the way Camblin does it in ABC, it's like he's saying, just observe. Don't get caught up in your head. Let go of the mental clutter. Just be present.
And the video actually calls ABC a visual koan.
Yeah, which is fascinating. A koan, it's like a riddle, but it's not meant to be solved intellectually. It's meant to trigger something deeper, a more intuitive kind of understanding.
So you're saying ABC is like a puzzle without a solution, but it points you towards something bigger.
Right. And it gets even more interesting when you bring in the I Ching interpretation. The video connects ABC to hexagram 20, Quan.
Okay, now we're getting really esoteric. I Ching, what's that about?
Think of it as this ancient Chinese text. It's about understanding the flow of the universe, how events unfold.
Okay, I'm with you.
And Quan, this specific hexagram, it means contemplation or viewing. It's about taking a step back, observing without judging, seeing the bigger picture.
So it ties into that Zen idea of just seeing things as they are.
Exactly. And when you put it all together, ABC becomes more than just a landscape. It becomes an invitation to look inward, to see your own life as part of this larger interconnected whole.
Wow, okay. That's a lot to unpack from a simple sketch.
Yeah.
But it really shows how much depth there is in Camblin's work. So we've got Zen, we've got the I Ching. Anything else?
Oh, yeah, there's more. Another big theme is impermanence, transience. It pops up everywhere. The book review mentions it talks about a meditation on impermanence and his illusions.
And the YouTube video, it says that, well, everything is impermanent in its own way.
Right. And Camblin himself said, and this is a classic Camblin line, fortunately, some things remain forever, or another 10 years, perhaps.
He's got that great dry wit, doesn't he?
Totally. And this awareness of impermanence, it probably explains why he was willing to experiment so much, why he never got stuck in one style or one way of thinking.
Right, like he understood that nothing lasts forever, and that's okay. In fact, there's a kind of beauty in that. Okay, so what else?
Well, there's also this fascinating element of paradox and ambiguity in his work. His drawings, they're described as paradoxes made visible.
Okay, I need an example.
Sure. There's this one image of a trap, but it's a trap that doesn't actually trap anything.
Wait, what? How does that work?
Exactly. That's the point. Camblin, he loved playing with these hidden meanings, these surprises that aren't always obvious right away.
It's like he's inviting you to really look closely, to think beyond the surface.
Yeah, and this ties into something he said that really stuck with me. He said, we lose our magic in understanding everything instead of knowing. It's like he's saying, intuition, direct experience, that's where the real magic lies, not in just analyzing things to death.
Which is kind of like the whole Zen thing again, right? Trust your gut.
Absolutely. It's about that non-conceptual wisdom. And this leads into his rejection of traditional art norms. Like, he straight up walked away from academia, chose a more nomadic existence, and sometimes he even signed his works as anonymous.
Anonymous. Wow, that's making a statement.
It's like he was uncomfortable with the whole art game. He wanted to keep things simple. Faith and good work, that's what he called it.
And signing as anonymous, it's like erasing the ego, right?
Yeah.
That whole Zen idea of no self.
Exactly. It really makes him stand out from other artists of his time. So we've got Zen, impermanence, paradox.
Wait, hold on. There's more.
There's always more with Camblin. We also see this theme of metamorphosis, the life cycle, especially in his work from the 1970s.
Okay, like what kind of images?
Puppets, scarecrows, skulls. It's this like enigmatic search for life's mysteries, as one critic put it.
Puppets, scarecrows, skulls. That's a pretty evocative combination.
And then there's his Muchas Volantes style. Have you ever noticed those little floaters you sometimes see in your vision?
Yeah, those weird little things.
Well, imagine a piece of art made up of all these tiny dots and dashes. That's Muchas Volantes. It creates these shifting optical illusions.
So it's like literally playing with perception.
Exactly. It's like he's saying, look, what you see isn't always the whole story. Reality itself is fluid, constantly changing.
And he wasn't always working alone, right?
Yeah.
He did these collaborative events with Earl Staley and Joe Tate, I think.
Yeah, they called themselves B&E Productions, share a studio space, and they really pushed the boundaries of what art could be. It was about the process, the energy of creation, and challenging those traditional ideas about art.
Okay, so we've talked about themes, we've talked about influences. Let's get concrete. Can we talk about some specific works?
Absolutely. We've already touched on ABC, but there's so much more.
Okay, like what?
Well, there's this image of a figure four trap, that classic knot.
Yeah, I know.
He uses it as a symbol of entanglement, which is just brilliant.
Entanglement. It makes you think about all those forces that shape our lives,
Right.
the things we get caught up in, often without even realizing it.
Exactly. It's like a visual metaphor for the complexities of relationships, the traps we set for ourselves, those things we can't seem to escape.
Okay, that's a good one. What else?
Well, there's this image of a tattooed arm. It's described as unspoken history.
Unspoken history. Wow. Yeah, it's like our bodies carry these stories, these experiences, whether we talk about them or not. It's all there, etched into us.
And then there are the quotes. I mean, his words are just as powerful as his images, like that one about looking into the atom and magic and finding philosophy and art in both. It really sums up his approach, doesn't it?
Totally. He was always looking for connections, bridging those gaps between science, art, spirituality.
Right. And he wasn't afraid to embrace what he called common sense. But he also hoped for this, like, bright gray between science and magic. It's like he was saying there's room for both. We don't have to choose.
It's a beautiful way to look at it.
And then there's that quote, the one about stepping off the train of thought. Step off the train of thought to find the power that is no power, to do the work that is not work, to laugh the true laugh. Bending is not bowing.
That's pure Zen right there.
Mm.
Letting go of the mental chatter, finding that effortless flow.
It's like that Taoist idea of wu-wei, action through non-action, letting things unfold naturally.
I love that. And it reminds me of that anecdote about him talking about changing the world and then just like paying for his coffee with a few coins.
Yeah.
It's so grounding, so human.
Right. It's like a reminder to stay present, to not get lost in those big, abstract ideas. Sometimes the most meaningful things are the simplest ones.
And then there's that line from Saltaire, summer 1967. Sad how we all aged at that moment in time. It's a little melancholic, but also very real, right? When we all get older, time marches on.
And it shows how attuned he was to the human condition. These themes, they run through so much of his work, like the Scarecrow series, the one he did after reading Günter Grass.
Right, the scarecrows. They represent like a loosely Germanic hastening of spring or renewal of life, right?
Exactly. It's fascinating how he drew inspiration from literature, too. And the way he incorporates text into those pieces. It's like a whole other layer of meaning. Sometimes it hides things, sometimes it reveals them.
It's like a code you have to crack.
And then finally, there are those paintings with the jars of water. Such a simple image, but so powerful.
Yeah, I remember reading about those. They represent turning a stumbling block into a stepping stone, right?
Exactly. It's like whatever challenges you face, you can find a way to use them to your advantage to keep moving forward.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. We've gone from his childhood in Oklahoma to Zen Buddhism to jars of water. What about his legacy? Where does Camblin stand today?
Well, he's still something of an enigma, even though his work is highly sought after. It's rare, you don't see it that often.
So not exactly a household name.
Not yet, maybe. But the book, Zen and the Art of Enlightenment, it seems like a real attempt to bring his work to a wider audience.
And those quotes from Pete Gershon and George O. Jackson Jr., they really capture something special about Camblin, don't they?
They do. Gershon, he calls him that mystical trickster figure. And Jackson, he talks about reading a Camblin piece like a book. It's about taking the time to really engage with it, to let it unfold.
And of course, there's the whole mystery surrounding his later life. He went nomadic, essentially disappeared from the art scene.
It's true. He chose his own path, lived on his own terms, and in a way that just adds to the mystique, doesn't it?
Totally. So, as we wrap this up, any final thoughts for our listeners?
Well, Camblin's work, it's all about asking questions, about looking deeper. It's not about easy answers. It's about the journey.
And to borrow a phrase, enlightenment is as much about asking questions as it is about finding answers.
Exactly. So as you go about your day, think about what we've talked about. What hidden layers do you see now? What new perspectives have you gained?
Or maybe, just maybe, Camblin's work has flipped a switch in your mind. You know, that mystic switch he talked about. And if it has, well, that's something worth pondering, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's a journey worth taking, even if you don't know where it leads.
Well said. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.
My pleasure.
Bye, everyone.